losing sleep, dreaming about the. Lately, I've been losing sleep, dreaming about the things that we could be. But baby, I've been praying hard. Said no more counting dollars, we'll be counting stars. Yeah, we'll be counting stars. I see this life like a swinging vine, swing my heart across the line. In my face is flashing signs, seek it out and ye shall find. Old, but I'm not that old. Young, but I'm not that bold. And I don't think the world is old.
Hello, Oscar.
Hello, Roberto. How are you doing?
How are you? It's a pleasure to see you again.
The pleasure is mine.
In remote.
Exactly.
Well, I'm very excited to do this conversation with you. And this was one of the funniest things that I'm going to do this week. And it's a bit of an experiment. And by the way, let me just say something for people who's connecting. We will probably going be just into the conversation. So we are not looking into the comments, not at this moment, but we will check it in the end or in the middle of the conversation. So we can recap if there is any other question. And we'll then, as we say in the coactive, we'll dance in the moment. So
Absolutely.
and this brings me to where we met for the first time, which was in a coaching training here in Barcelona in person. And I remember I was very impressed and amazed by you, by your curiosity, by all the things that you learn constantly and all the experience that you have. And this was one of the things that in this coaching training, they say it's like a magnet for wonderful people. And I can absolutely certify that this is the case with you. And this is an absolute pleasure to have this conversation with you. But I prefer that also you present yourself on just 2-3 minutes and explain also how did you get into coaching and what's your story.
Absolutely. Thank you, Roberto, for your kind words. In this case, the pleasure is mutual, like wonderful people get together. We have an expression in Spanish that says that God creates them, then they get together, and I think that's a bit what has happened with us in these coaching trainings, and seeing you, how much you have grown, who you have become, how thorough you are, how dedicated you are when you do things is something that really inspires me every day. And you will see, we will speak about that, later on. But Roberto and me, we have something in common. Both of us, we love Star Wars. And yes. Both of us, we have our, leader within that is connected with Star Wars. Is the same character, but with different characteristics. Roberto's is Baby Yoda, mine is Yoda in this case.
Yeah.
And we can explain them later on, what's the leader within and more details about that. It makes sense. Then answering your question, because I tend to do that, I tend to answer whatever I want. Then I will try to stick to what you ask.
Absolutely.
Like what you should know about me is that I always call myself a bridge and a bridge between worlds. I bridge between the academic and the professional world. It's something that I have done my whole life. I bridge between rational and emotions. And I also love to bridge, in this case, between coaching, life coaching and also more professional coaching. And I do that, bringing my whole self, bringing theory and practice. And that's something that really defines what I love to do and a bit who I am.
Wow. That's great. That's one thing that I didn't know about you. Imagine. And that's a beautiful metaphor of the bridge. And I can see that it can apply to many things. It's not like it's like connecting different things, and then something beautiful happens when you bridge two worlds because you have both of those worlds. Wow.
I always connect that, with the concept of you don't know what you don't know. And for me, that's the concept of bridging. You know, you may know one side of the bridge, but you don't know what's in the other side of the bridge. And that's what brought me to coaching in this case, the human complexity. You may know a lot about the strategy, you may know a lot about culture, you may know a lot about business, and even you may know a lot of people, but you cannot know all of them. And you cannot know what matters to all of them. And you
Yes.
cannot deal with the complexity of human relationships. And that's where, you know, this bridging, always pushing you to discover something new, is something that keeps me alive. And I think, Roberto, is something that also you share, because you are always in constant state of change and progress.
Yeah, absolutely. And what you say, that the continuous discovery actually never ends, never ends. And what I also like about the bridge is that when you go to the other side, then you can come back and you can take back things. So you can decide which side you want to do in each moment. And every time that you cross something, you can access to more things. So it's not limiting. It's like opening new doors and bridging other parts. So it's very beautiful metaphor. Thank you. And how was the beginning in your coaching journey? Because I think that you have a huge experience in coaching, systemic coaching, and many other tools and techniques. I'm very curious to see, how was the story? How did you approach this in the beginning?
You know, like it's not so conventional as it may look, or it may seems like, you know, like let's say that I became chief of staff like some years ago. And when I became chief of staff, I understood the complexity of human relationships. Because when you go work with leadership teams are composed by leaders. And these leaders tend to be people with a lot of experience, really strong opinions, and all of them tend to come from successful experiences. What means that when they are in a room, you know, it tends to be a room with a large amount of ego, and until a certain point, narcissism, not in a bad way, but in a positive way. It's people that they really believe in who they are, what they have achieved.
They're successful. They're very successful people. They've done a lot of amazing things, and probably they're in that place because of who they are. So it's not nothing bad. It's like they've done a lot. So yes.
Then it's, yeah. And for them, you know, like that's the norm. Then you put them together, they have completely different experiences, you know, what means that each of them tries to convince each other that they are the ones who are right. And for them, it's much more difficult to try to build an alignment situation, you know, a system that works by itself, and where it's not about them, it's about the system. And when I was in this experience and I learned that, I said, wow, you know, I have been working in strategy my whole career, but that's much more complex. And I need new tools so I can deal with that complexity. And then, you know, like I was working with Alex Gallofré, one of our coaching trainers, that it's an amazing person with a lot of experience, and also, you know, like with an amazing mindset that we can learn from. And there he told me, Oscar, you need to do coaching. I said, yeah, but I am more interested in that systemic coaching, the team coaching and individual coaching. He told me, yes, but you should begin through doing, first of all, the fundamentals of coaching, and then you can go to team coaching. And 2 years ago, or 2 years and a half ago, this is what I did. I did the fundamentals training that is, as you know, Roberto, a 3-day training where you begin to discover what are the basics of individual coaching. And these 3 days for me were, how can I describe that? Were really strange. Because I went into a place where you had like 20 or 30 people that were willing to open themselves until the last detail of their life. You know, there was so much emotion, so much openness that for me was really difficult to manage at the beginning. It's like, you know, I wanted to learn coaching tools. I didn't want to explore inside of myself.
Oh, so it was like, give me the tools. And they said, no, I'm not going to give you the tools. First, look into yourself and see what's there.
It was like, use these tools with yourself, and then you will be able to use it with others, you know. And I remember, you know, I always make the joke to my wife that, you know, like my first coaching session with somebody, you know, was really difficult because like I went there and, you know, I hoped that the topic was going to be easy. And the person that was from me told me, well, you know, last week I lost my dog and I feel really bad. and I would like you to help me with this topic, to accompany me with this topic.
Yeah.
It's like, shit, like I love docs. That's a tough topic. And that's why for me was a rough landing, because coaching sometimes can feel like a really abstract concept, really emotional, really fluffy. And that weekend for me was like, I understood why it's important. I understood the power of coaching, but I am not ready to go further than that. And then is when I went into systemic coaching.
Wow. Thank you for this story. And this is great. It looks like you had a first glimpse of what is coaching, and this helped you also to see when you were telling about the story about the boardroom of all the leaders, and you said, okay, these are people. Each one of us has its challenges, its struggle, and it's like seeing the organizations and the teams from a human perspective also, not just for the tools. So it looks like you are combining or bridging, as you said, the tools and the techniques and the system, but also with the human and the emotional part. How do you see this dance?
It's a beautiful dance, and it's a really difficult dance, And my assumption 2 years ago was, you don't need to go into the interior of the person. You need to go deep in each person. You need to play with the system. You need to play with how they interact together.
Yeah.
And that was my assumption. It's like, let them be, and let's play with them as a group, because then as a group, we can build something bigger than their own like personality or themselves. And that was my belief for a significant period of time. And then something changed. I applied all the systemic coaching techniques into a leadership team, and the individual topics destroyed the team, killed the team, brought it to a situation where even if we try to work on the system was not strong enough to deal with the individual and sometimes, like couples problems that we had. And then I said, well, maybe there is something additional here that we should work on. Maybe just working in the system is not enough, and you may need to work also in the individual.
Yeah. So what I hear is both sides are necessary. It's not
Always
one or the other. So we are first of all persons, and then we have to work on ourselves, and then of course we are part of systems. And this also reminds me of one of the beautiful things about coaching, which also I think it extends in general to coaches and non-coaches, because now we are talking about coaching, but of course the topic of the conversation is also how can we bring these things to life day to day, even for people who are not coaches. And there is one thing which connects with what you said, that you cannot explain or you cannot take anyone where you have not been first.
Absolutely.
So if you want to have a good relationship with someone, if you want to connect with someone, if then first you didn't do your, let's say, homework, or you didn't reflect on yourself, you don't know what you want, you don't face these emotions. You said, oh, this was uncomfortable in the beginning, you expressed, and thank you for being also so open. If you don't embrace this discomfort, then perhaps you can still avoid the discomfort in your personal life, in your professional life, and this perhaps connecting again with the company's organization. If you avoid conflict, for example, what happens?
You don't grow.
Exactly. We're stuck.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and this is one of the most challenging part, because you think about, why do we have to have conflict? Because it's not a pleasant thought at the beginning. But then if you think as conflict as a way to connect to the other person, to understand and to listen, it's uncomfortable, as you said, for example, in the beginning, the coaching training. Oh, this is some deeper emotion. But then you end up with a better relationship. What do you think?
100%. I think that two things comes to mind, based on what you said. The first thing is readiness. If you are not ready and you don't have the readiness to explore yourself, to go deep, you're not going to be able to go deep. We can explain people what coaching is. We can teach them coaching skills, methodologies, exercises. that if they don't really want to know themselves and to explore themselves, they are not going to be able to explore others. Everything begins with you so that you can bring it to others.
Yes.
You cannot force anybody to follow a journey. People need to come with you. It reminds me, like kids, like you can try to teach your kids all the mistakes that you have made in your life, but they need to go through these mistakes.
Yes.
And you need to accept that. You need to accompany them through these mistakes because they need to learn by themselves. The experience of others is not going to change how they're going to approach life.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And at the same time, it's also, I think it frees us as a coach or as a person even from the responsibility, because you don't have to teach everything. You don't have to fix anything or anyone, because first of all, no one wants to be fixed. I don't want to be fixed, definitely. I want to fix myself, yes, but I don't want to be fixed from the outside. So as a coach or as a team member or as a parent or whatever, if we take off this responsibility of having to fix the other person, oh, it's so much fun. And then you don't have, I think also another thing, if you don't have to fix anyone, you cannot fail. What's failure? I'm not failing. I'm just showing you what I see, if I care about you, what I see in you, or I can perhaps mirror you something, ask you questions. And then one of the pillars of the coactive model is that the people are full of resources, complete and whole. So they will know what to do. If it's not the right moment, perhaps it's not for them, it will be, oh no, who are we to judge if it's now or tomorrow or in 1 year? So this is one of the things, perhaps, that the big discoveries that applies to from coaching to every situation, personal, professional, or whatever, or family.
I absolutely agree with that, and I think that, like it connects me a lot with the concept that we always say in coaching, the 100-100, in the coaching relationship. And I like when I do it remotely, I always do it like that. Imagine that this is one person, this is the other person, one is the coach, the other is the coachee. When we are in a coaching relationship, both sides need to bring 100%.
Yeah.
Because if one of the sides brings more or less, then the relationship unbalanced and it's broken. And I think that when we work inside of teams, with leadership team members, with our kids, with family members, with friends, when we step further of our 100% is when we don't let the other person be. When we try to solve their problems, to own their journey, we are not letting them solve their problems or live and experience their journey. And for me, that's the big change, like, and one of the key learnings that I got in the last months, like, I always love to go the extra mile. But when I go the extra mile, I don't let the other person do their job, be themselves. And that's, it's like when I understood that it's not about me, it's about them, it changed drastically my approach.
Wow. And this reminds me, I don't know how it's connected to micromanagement. When we think about micromanagement, usually it's not from a place of, I want to control you, I want to do everything, or I don't trust you. It's sometimes and often is from a place of, I want to do the extra mile, I want to do it perfect, I want to do an amazing job. But at the same time, we take out the power from the relationship because we are doing more. So this is also something that I see, especially in professional relationship, when you believe that, as again, that everyone is a professional, they're complete, they're creative, they're full of resources, you will be surprised of how many things come out, because I think it's something that you can feel when you're in a conversation with a person and you say, okay, I know you're going to do, what are you going to do? Are you going to do a great job? I trust you. And the relationship, as I said, is not from a place of superiority, it's equal. We are two persons, we are going to do a job, and we are in a certain way equal, then much better things come out in collaboration.
100%. And I put that into that, because I think it connects with the conflict that you spoke before about, And I think that, like conflict with others always begins with conflicts with ourselves. It's like when we go into micromanagement, and that's my perspective, I may be wrong or right, but I would like I am going to share. I think that when we go into micromanagement, we go because we have fear of something. We have fear that we are not enough. We have fear that, we are not going to be able to make it. Yeah. Then we need to go the extra mile, put all the effort so that it will happen, and we can prove to ourselves and to others that we deserve to be there. Then in reality, we are in conflict with ourselves. We have voices inside of our head telling us, you are not enough good. You need to keep proving yourself. You need to be seen like you are an amazing person, that you are perfect. And all these voices create this internal conflict. And when we have internal conflict, it for sure will become external conflict. That's why first we need to understand where we are, what we are dealing with, so that then we can deal with the conflicts that we have in the real world.
That's super interesting. And actually, I see two ways to see this. One way is I want to improve, and I want to do it because I want to prove to the outside, which would be I need this, let's say, validation to see that I'm worth, and I'm doing a good job, and my value comes from the outside. At the same time, this drive can also be something that you say, okay, I want to improve for myself. And this, if it comes from a place that I want to improve for myself and I don't expect this external validation, then I think it may take out some pressure, and you cannot go into this, let's say, micromanagement or other things, because you are doing it for yourself. You're doing it because you want to grow, not because you want to prove something. So I think it's a tricky balance, and again, it depends on how you are living it, because probably the action is exactly the same. You are doing the same, but from which place you are doing it? From growth or for fear? So play to win or play to lose?
And there, is that we have what's called the creative and the reactive. The reactive is the fear. The creative is your desire to make an impact in the world. For me, like something that we need to be careful, and I am going to share one experience that I am having, is when we think that we do it for growth, but in reality, we do it because we are judging ourselves. What I mean is the worst judge that we have in the world is always ourselves. And for example, I have a tendency to want to be seen as I am always active, energetic. I always go the extra mile. I am always for you. I will always support you. I need to be seen like that because it's something that is really intrinsic of my personality since I am a kid. Then what happens? I don't micromanage others. I don't consider myself a micromanager. What happens is I micromanage myself. And as I micromanage myself, it has an impact in myself.
Yes.
Why? Because I don't have a balanced life.
Yes.
I judge myself a lot. I have terrible conversations with myself. And that's having an emotional and personal impact. Then for me, the debate is how I stop trying to be seen as something that I am not. And I accept that I am just me. And I want to impact the world through being who I am and nothing else than that, with my weaknesses and with my strengths. And I think that that's a big challenge. And that's where you were going, Roberto, in the sense that I grow from my essence, from who I am, not from what I want to see myself, or from where others want to see myself.
That's beautiful. And this probably is also an example of what you talking in the beginning about being self-aware of what we are, who we are, what we're expressing now. And this, I have the intuition, perhaps that's something that as we do coaching training, we are more and more aware of ourselves, which at the same time allows us to be more aware of the others, because we first look into ourselves, and then from this, we can be open because we know what's there and we accept it. It's often, of course, it's so easy to say it from here, okay, yeah, I always accept myself, and then I exactly live the same. All of us have our, let's call saboteurs, when we go out of our comfort zone, we say, okay, no, what's going to happen? Whatever. It's human. We will never get rid of this. It's part of who we are. Yes.
100%. That's why this readiness that we were saying before, like you cannot do coaching with others if you are not ready to accept your own contradictions, to accept your own emotions, your own complexities.
Yeah.
And if you're not ready to explore them. That's why for 2 years, I had a lot of trainings about coaching, but probably was not ready to be a proper coach because I was not accepting the things that were limiting myself.
And Oscar, from this awareness now and with this experience, I'm very curious now that reconnecting with the vision for how we take coaching skills to our daily life, be it professional or personal. What would be your biggest learning and the one tool, if you had to choose one, or tool or ability that you bring to your day-to-day from coaching? And you can also share with all the people who will listen or watch this recording.
I think it's a really good question, and for me, there like should be two things that I would like to bring, and then I would like also that you share with me which ones you have, because probably I will learn. The first one is, it's not about you, Oscar. For me, that's the big thing, that it happened. Like coaching teaches a lot, it's like you may be doing coaching, you are the one, trying to ask the questions, like trying to accompany the other in the journey. But Oscar, it's not about you. Who cares about you? It's about the other person. It's about their journey. It's about what they feel. You don't need to understand. You just need to hold the space.
Yes.
And for me, bringing that to our day-to-day work and life, super important, because we judge continuously. We go into a room, somebody has not done what we expected, or somebody is in a bad mood, or somebody whatever, and we tend to judge. Why? Because we bring how they are impacting us in that moment. What about if we live outside the room, the impact they are bringing to us, and we are just there trying to understand where they are coming from, what challenges they are facing, what are they worried about, what's limiting them? I think that, like this concept of it's not about me is something that every day I try to apply more and more and more, because that really can change how I do things and how I feel about things. This is one. And the other one, that I think that it's really important is bringing to our day-to-day conversations and life, like our vulnerability and emotions. For example, to tell you something, yesterday I was like doing a training part of a leadership program with amazing leaders, and we got to a point that we were speaking about emotions, and I asked them, what's your relationship with emotions? And some words came up into this discussion, because I told them, tell me in one word, because you could tell me 100, 1,000 words, but I just want one word. And the majority of words were complex, denial, difficult, challenging. What means that for us as humans, dealing with our emotions, expressing them is something that, like it's really difficult. We live in a society where it's much more valued that you are rational than emotional. And something that I try to do every day more in my life is to bring my emotions into place, share my emotions. It's like, hey, what you did frustrated me, or what you did, like I really loved it. And I think that way of expressing yourself and saying, hey, this is how it impacted me. Here you have it. That doesn't mean that I am judging you. I want you to know that I feel like that, so that you can tell me how you feel. And we can build from having all the information, not just what we think that the other one wants to hear.
Oh, it's beautiful, because at the same time, you say it's not about me. And while not being about me, I share how I feel. And this helps me to let go of my own vision and connect better with you. It's like, I see these two as a part of us, of same.
It's the whole, it's the yin yang connection, in the end,
Yes.
you and not you. You always need to play with both things. And how can it not be about you if you have things inside of you that you are holding back?
Yeah.
It will be about you for sure if you hold back. If you express and you say, then it's not going to be about you, because then you are creating the space so the other can express.
And this also connects with what you called about what is told about the vulnerability. And we don't know how to express this emotion. We don't know how to say when you, for example, when you said that, I felt frustrated. Or imagine that you say to a colleague, okay, when you interrupted me in the meeting, I felt disrespect. Just imagine saying that. But this is how we feel, for example. And if we don't say it, what happens? We keep thinking about, okay, I'm feeling disrespect, and we are all thinking about ourselves. So it's all about me, and it's not about them. And maybe it was not even intentional. So it's like letting go of this and normalizing. I hear normalizing the emotion, accepting it, and then we take off there is no negative or positive. We take off the energy, let's say. There is no, we can go and do other things. Yeah. It's brilliant. Thank you.
We show ourselves. And then, just to finish, and I would like to ask you the same question, Roberto, to see, what are the things that you use in your day-to-day. It's like the non-conflictive language, that is sharing, hey, when that happened, I felt like that. I felt like that. As I felt, it's not about you, it's about me. And that had this impact in me. So that what I would need from you is that other thing. You, instead of creating a language, using a language that is against the other person, you try to bring, hey, this is my feeling.
Yes.
Can be fair or unfair, but this is what I am feeling. And what I would like from here is that we try that. That changes drastically. Absolutely. What can happen in the room.
It's a non-violent communication. No? You said, you did this was the impact, this is what I'm going to do. I'm not talking about you, I'm talking about me, and I'm showing you what impact your action had on me. Wow. This would be a great, also an amazing tool to remember every day. And if you practice this, it's so easy. It looks challenging, but at the same time, it's so easy because it's just being present and noticing when this happens. Yeah.
And so powerful, Roberto.
Yeah, absolutely.
Then let's talk about you. How do you use coaching techniques in your day-to-day?
Well, I think to answer my own question, perhaps, would be if there are a lot of things. I think now, what the metaphor when now you're waiting for to kids. Congratulations, by the way. And I'm sure that you are seeing pregnant women and everywhere.
Yes, kids all around me. Right
all around, and it's in the same world. What changed? And now you're looking for that. So what I say is that when you get into this habit of thinking of relationships and connecting with the people and being interested, you start seeing application everywhere. At the same time, if I had to choose one thing, the most simplest thing of all would be just asking questions and listening to the other person and being curious. Because this is actually what's also got me close to coaching, because I love, and this is of course, this is at the same time the challenge. I'm a very curious person, and I love to hear stories, to see how the project of the people are and what they excite them and all these things. So this is also something that allows you to connect to the person, to discover what's on the other side of the screen and what amazing things this person has to show. And the great thing is that when you start asking questions out of curiosity, not just thinking about, okay, I want to ask this because then I want to, no, it has to be genuine. If you are really interested, and you always, I bet that you always find something interesting from someone. If you ask something, a powerful question, what we call powerful question, like for example, what's the thing that you are most excited about? Of course, the people their faith will lit up because they're talking about their dream, they're talking about their values, and this is one of the most beautiful things. And then what happens, and also happens to me, of course, as a person on the other side, is that people feel seen. Because usually we don't talk about these things. We don't talk about values. We don't talk about our project. We talk about the day-to-day, which is normal. It's not bad. It's just how things usually work. And coaching helped me to go a little bit more deeper into everyday conversation and try to be interested more in the person. And when you are more interested in the other person, you have a better connection, you have a better relationship, you have more fun, you discover amazing things, and it's a win. So why not? And it's so easy. And this is what we also think, that we don't have time. We think, oh no, I don't have time to have a conversation. Yes, we have time. It can be just 5 minutes. It can be in a meeting or in a setting when you see someone, for example, feel some discomfort. Maybe you call, oh, I saw you were looked frustrated in the meeting. What happened? And maybe the person say, no, I was not frustrated. I was angry. Okay, what happened? And then you start the conversation. But it always starts from this curiosity, and it can be even 2 or 3 minutes. It doesn't have to be, okay, I have a one-on-one session of 1 hour with all of the people in my team or in my family, because maybe you don't have it, but maybe yes. So it's just get into the habit. And as we said earlier, once you are in the habit, as with the pregnant woman, you will see opportunities for asking questions and interesting things, and everything will look more interesting. And you will see amazing people as they are, and you will see that every person has something special, and you can just bring it out and ask. So this would be my biggest.
I think it, like you explained it wonderfully. I absolutely agree with that. It reminds me of an episode of The Simpsons, where Homer goes and says, I'm going to speak about my book. And humans, when we meet with each other, we go and say, hey, yeah, I'm speaking about my book. This is my book, And what you said is like, ask them about their book. And you will learn things that you will be able to write in your own book.
Yeah.
And I think that's the magic of learning, of the curiosity that you talk about.
Yes. Oh, I love it. I will take this. I will do. So one more thing that I learned at home. Thank you, Oscar. Okay. Why don't we check if we have some questions here in the chat?
Yeah, of course.
Perhaps. And so if we have questions, we can go over the questions. If not, we can. Okay, now let's see. Yeah, Philip was commenting the extra mile. Okay. Perhaps we can. Yeah, there is one great perspective. What I don't know is what was that about. Okay.
Bring it up. We can always, see what we can say about that.
Yeah. Okay. I would like to ask one more thing, and perhaps maybe we can wrap up in a few minutes. I'm curious, and this is also out of my personal curiosity. What's your biggest challenge at this moment, or the project that excites you the most?
I think both things connect in this case, and it's connected with my journey as my journey as a human, I would say, and this part of my life that is connected with coaching, and it's the dilemma of being and doing. During my whole life, I have been trying to do many things. When I was a kid, I was super innovative, creative. I was what is called an airy person, a really, creative person. And at the school, they taught me that was not valuable. That what was valuable was to be able to study, to do, your homework, to do things. Then I learned that by doing things is when people would value me, and when the world would see that I was unique and special. And since that day, I have been my whole life chasing that desire to be seen as somebody valuable, somebody exceptional. And my journey today is to stop doing what I thought that was what was the thing that gave me value, to begin or to come back to feel and to be who I am, who I am really, so that I can begin to do the things that really make a difference for me. And that connects a lot with parenthood, with becoming a father. I don't want to educate my kids or be with my kids somebody that I am not. I don't want to be the whole day doing things and showing them that by doing things is how they will define their own personality. What I want is to be able to be myself in front of them and to show them that you can be loved just for being who you are, not for what you do. And how many times in our life they tell us, hey, amazing what you did, amazing what you have done, amazing what you achieved.
Next. Yeah.
Exactly. But how many times they tell you, Roberto, I love who you are. I love, your way of being. I love your presence. How many times we are being told that? How many times we tell that to our kids, that we just love them because who they are, not because of what they do. And that's, that's my journey these days. It's trying to stop doing, and instead of doing, be much more and be ready for when my kids are born, that is going to be soon, that I can be a much more present father, a much more being father instead of doing.
That's brilliant. And that connects again with the being and seeing the person, and just as in coaching, you see the person, you show what's there, and you don't have to judge. It's just what's there, and you appreciate. And when the people are seen, then it's more. Then you can do action also. And as you said, but from a place where it's okay, I'm at peace, and then from this I can move. But it's not like I move because I have to move, and then because I move, I am. No, it's like I am, and then I move. Wow, thank you.
You begin from your essence. I think that's, and I would love everybody to do that, because all of us, as you said, we are naturally complete, creative, and full of resources. We are whole. And when we see the wholeness of people, is when magic can happen.
Thank you.
And what about you, Roberto, then? What's your current challenge then in your journey?
Well, I would say my challenge, and at the same time what excites me, is that I have so many things that I want to do. And at this moment, the FOMO is one of the things that, wow, I want to do this, I want to do that, I want to do. So it's somehow being patient and accepting that the things don't happen at once, and enjoying the process, and being much more mindful of this. And this is at the same time something that also the coaching training helps me, of course, because this is one of my first and primary project at this moment. I want to enjoy this certification. I'm learning a lot. And by the way, this is one of the examples. It's a privilege to have a conversation with you about this topic. And this also helps me to clarify my thinking. At the same time, this is also a struggle, because you see a lot of opportunities. You want to do this, you want to do that. And this is the delicate balance between going very focused on what you want, and at the same time accepting that you cannot do everything, and that the opportunity will still be there, and you will have time. So this is constant, not daily, but a struggle that I have to remember. Okay, what's my priority? What I want to do, and I don't have to feel overwhelmed by all these things. There's amazing things that I want to do, and there are all the time, every time, more things.
Absolutely. And I am sure, Roberto, that you are doing the right choices. You have all the tools that you need to choose exactly what you want to do next, or I would say first, because always, we have time to do many more things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Thank you, Oscar. It was great. It was great talking to you. So I would like to ask you one more question now that we are almost wrapping up. Oh, first of all, do you have any more question for me? So we have the conversation. So if you have any other thing, we can dance in.
go for it, and something will come in my mind for sure.
Okay. So what I was going to ask you is that now that I saw that you have a new project coming out, what's the way, if someone wants to connect with you or any other thing, what's the best way to reach you or to follow on this conversation?
Like in this case, like it's really easy. You just need to contact me on LinkedIn, or you can go to my website that in the end is my name, Oscar, and together my last name, Carbonell.com, oscarcarbonell.com, and you can find me there in this case. And I will be super happy to continue this conversation. And then Roberto, like you asked me like what question I could ask you. And it's like, if you had one thing that you could ask to our audience today, what would you like to ask them?
To ask? Well, I would like, perhaps I would make a challenge yes, the challenge would be connected to what we said. Oh. Hey, you're still there?
Sorry, I lost you. Keep going. You were saying that
Okay.
you would challenge them.
Yes, I would challenge them, and the challenge would be to ask some more meaningful questions to the people around them, and to, for example, to ask a question like, "What's your struggle, or what's your biggest challenge?" to someone close to them, and see what happens. That would be a good challenge, because it's uncomfortable in the beginning, and I'm sure it will be surprising.
Absolutely. I think that, like that's an amazing challenge that you could do to people, and, I could love that, like that you do that, when people accept Roberto's challenge,
And see what happens.
Exactly, and see what happens, and share your experiences with us, of course, in the chat here today, later on, or at any moment. That could be amazing, where we really, bring what we talk today into practice.
Oh yeah. Thank you. Oh, that's a wonderful way to close this conversation. Thank you, Oscar. It was super fun.
Thanks to you, Roberto.
I'm going to see you soon, of course, in the certification, and here, of course, in virtual and presence, both.
The pleasure was mine, Roberto. Thank you very much, and see you next week.
See you next week. Have a great week.
Thank you very much, everybody.
Bye-bye.